Alright, that was a banger trailer. Smoothie, are you here?
I'm here.
Nice.
It's an honor to be here with you, Toho. Good evening.
It's an honor to be with you here too. Sorry, I fucked up and left my mic on so you could hear the fans, but it's my bad. But I have
Very
to make
good.
sure that framing device is a central part of the map, right? It's not just video editing magic.
Oh yeah, I can see why that would be confusing. The black frame is in game. It's like a style ground trick, and it's like each room will have a sort of different frame to give it a sort of identity. So it is very purposeful.
Nice. At the beginning, there was a lot of footage of 1A speedrunning gameplay. Did ILs or speedrunning in general play a factor in this map's conception?
Absolutely, yes. So the sort of concept behind the map is, Celeste was designed with speedrunning in mind, um, and that makes it so like I think the most beautiful part of the movement really shines when you're going fast, and so it's natural that if I'm interested in sort of the pure movement of Celeste, what I really want to do is create a speedrunning map, and a lot of that inspiration absolutely comes from like IL speedrunning, especially like 1A. When people are optimizing it super close to the task. But then also, I took a lot of inspiration from like tasks themselves because I tried to look at tasks and think like, okay, that's the coolest I've ever seen. Is there any way I can make an easier version? That kind of thing. So absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of inspiration from like top level speedrunning tasks and that kind of thing.
Nice. So, one of the key goals in each screen of Mauve is trying to reach a key final speed that lets you clear a gap. But in this map, it looks like you're just trying to optimize speed everywhere, just every single little movement. So, what lessons have you learned while making Mauve that contributed to making this map so cool? Or what lessons have you learned since Mauve?
Yeah, I feel like um, you know for all the maps I've made, I've had like a similar mapping philosophy, which is to try and like kind of create a kind of a blank canvas for the player to like create movement themselves, and they're movement artists. I want to give the opportunity a canvas for self-expression through movement, and Mauve, is a natural way into that, inspired by stuff like a nice view. We were trying to get lots of speed, but this is like geodesic is like the natural conclusion of that philosophy, where um, I'm really just trying to uh, like the kind of movement I'm just trying to create like the weirdest like amalgamations of tech to the point that it's unrecognizable, and like taking techless movement and like pushing it to the absolute limit of its density, um, doing stuff like that, and so it's a similar kind of concept where in terms of that like blank canvas thing between Mauve and Geodesic, but um, like the thing that's similar between them is that it focuses in on like what you can do just with the movement system, just with Madeline. Um, so I think it'll have a similar experience of playing it, um, but obviously you're doing very different things, and this one is going to be kind of uh, as dense of inputs as I can possibly make it, as you can kind of see.
Yeah, that's genius. So, I want to talk more about the framing device. Like, was it harder or easier to design screens with that restriction than it would be
Well,
without?
like for this map, I've had to think a lot about like, um, yeah, like constraints breeding creativity, because obviously like there's a lot of constraints on this map and in each individual room, because I'm trying to give each one a really strong identity, because that's something I really love in maps. But if I'm trying to give room like a really strong identity, but all I'm using is like foreground tile movement and speedrunning, um, then I have to like find other ways. And this constraint of like framing the screen in a certain way, making it look like a square or whatever, I just think it looks cool, and it just makes me think about. It gives me more ideas in terms of what kind of movement might you fit in this. So like one of the screens you saw in that trailer, um, where the screen was sort of, it was a very flat screen. It was sort of narrow horizontally. Um, I started with that framing device. Well, really, it was I like came up with a concept for a move that I might be able to expand on for like several seconds, and then thought like, okay, am I moving? I noted that I'm moving more horizontally. Like there's not much of vertical movement that I can do while riffing on this movement idea, and so I try and confine the screen like that, and that informs the process of actually like making the room itself and riffing on movement ideas. So it's kind of a way to help me, but it also helps to give the rooms a really strong identity.
Mm. I just want to add, this isn't really a question, but I think the door closing right before you get to it, or like if you get barely just not enough speed, that's such like a genius reimagining of like not making a gap, like falling right before you get a gap. Like
Right.
that's such a cool way to just disappoint the player immediately.
Right. The idea is like, with the kind of like top level speedrunning inspiration I'm taking here, like you're gonna need to be. It's not nothing's gonna be frame perfect because I hate stuff that's frame perfect, but like you're gonna need to be able to like saving. You need to be saving frames, like it says in the trailer. And a lot of times, like in my own like practicing of the rooms and stuff and building them, like yeah, you can get like frames off and feel that crushing disappointment, and I think that's so awesome.
Nice. All right, I have 3 short questions remaining.
Sure.
Are you willing to share how many rooms there are, or will be, or not yet?
Somewhere it's not going to be huge. It's going to be somewhere between like 5 or 10 main rooms, like you saw in the trailer. But then, kind of similar to Mauve, like there'll be really shorter, like 1 or 2 input rooms, which are just like cool movement ideas I wanted to give a shot in between the larger ones. But yeah, 5 to 10 big ones.
What difficulty would you say it is, roughly?
Geez. Fuck if I know. I have made more hardless maps than I've played. So yeah, hard. Probably harder than Mauve. But it depends on your skill set. Speedrunners might be good at it. So no idea.
Makes sense. All right, lastly, what is your favorite tech?
My favorite deck? Geez. It has to be one that has a name.
I mean, you can invent one right now.
I'll invent uh, my favorite tech. Of course. Okay, I know the answer. My favorite tech is a climb jump.
Let's
Because
go.
Actually, genuinely, I almost thought of like the tagline for this map for a while has been like a love letter to climb jumps, because I feel like climb jumps are underused in maps, especially like hard maps. So, and in this map, like in order to like create a room with the constraints that I'm thinking with, I have to think like, okay, what are the possible things you can do if you press like jump and then dash and then jump right after a dash? And a lot of those happen to involve a lot of the options for those kinds of inputs involve climb jumps. So you're gonna have to spam climb jumps and stuff. I love climb jumps.
Nice. All right, thank you so much. Anything else you want to share?
No, thank you so much, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, yeah. Right.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.